Hi everybody, and welcome to the first in quite a long series of videos, which I'm going to be doing on an ongoing basis, where I'm going to be teaching you how to use workstations, DAWs, and how to record your own music, mix, master, do all that kind of good stuff so that you can get started, especially during 2020, and maybe even most of 2021, when it's going to be very difficult to get into a studio. So maybe you're thinking about now starting to record yourself. In the previous video, I will have shown you how to set up your little home studio in terms of the equipment you're going to need. Dead simple. I'm working from my sort of dining table at the moment because I can't get into my studio. And I just want to show you really how to sort of dive in now to the system and get this working. Throughout the series, I'm going to show you on Logic Pro X, which is the one that I use the most. I'm also going to show you GarageBand, which is a free option. And there is another option that is free for the first 60 days, and then I think it's about $60 to buy, and that one I'm going to show you another time, which is called Reaper FM. Super cheap, but very good piece of software. The reason I like to use the Apple ones, if you have Apple products, is because they just seem for me to work better, and they have a few little extras that you would ordinarily have to pay for, things like drum simulators, guitar amp simulators, all those different things that you might want. But for today, what we're going to concentrate on is setting up a track so that you can start recording your vocals, maybe to a backing track, something really simple to begin with. So this is a previous track that I've got set up at the moment, and I'm just going to dive in now and show you how to start recording. So what you want to do first thing is come in here and click on New. The first thing you're going to be greeted with is this screen. This is where you're going to select the number of tracks that you want. If you want to have 4 or 5 open, you can do that. If you just want one, you can select software instruments. You can select drummer, which will show you in another video, external MIDI, or a guitar or bass. For these purposes, we're going to go with audio. A couple of things you need to check at this point. So the first one is going to be your input. So we want to make sure we're on input 1. Once you've plugged your interface into your computer, it should be automatically recognized, but you are going to want to go into here and make sure that it is the right device. So your input device there is going to be Scarlett Interface 2i2 USB. Now, ordinarily, this here output device would also say Scarlett 2i2, but because I'm recording my screen at the moment, I have to have it on multi-output device. But if you just click on there, you can then go in and you can find Scarlett 2i2, which is the interface I'm using now. Click on that and then apply changes. So that's the first thing you need to do, and then click create. Then that's going to open up this. I'm going to turn this off. This here is a monitoring button. This is so that you can hear yourself back when recording, so you can hear your voice as you're singing. Now your interface may also have a monitoring mode on it as well, but if you're going to use the one in the system here, you're going to want to make sure that you got the one on your box turned off, because otherwise you're going to get this weird doubling effect. Another thing that you're going to want to make sure when you're recording vocals is, if we go back into these preferences for just a second, is this one here, the buffer speed. We want to keep that number pretty low, depending on how powerful your computer is. 128 works perfectly for me. And what that's going to do is it's going to stop any delay. So what you don't want to happen is you don't want to be singing or rapping and then hearing your voice back like a second later or a millisecond later, because it's very off-putting. The higher the number, the more likely that is to happen. Okay, so we want to keep this at 128. There is a time when we are going to use this here, but that is when we're mixing much larger projects and we're using lots of effects and plugins. But for now, we go 128, apply changes, and then we go back into here. I always like to name my channels, so I would go in here and I would put, say, main vocal verse, for instance. Okay, so that's for the verse, and that's how I want it. And then I might want to do another track and call it chorus or whatever. What I want to do first of all is make sure that the volume levels coming in are correct. I want it to be between the green and yellow. I do not want it going in the red. And if I turn my mic up now and I do that, you can see that it's getting a bit loud. So if I turn it down, it goes too quiet. So you want to have it in a position where you know, you're not going too high on here. I've got mine turned up a little bit at the moment because I'm just talking to you. Again, if it's a bit loud and you can hear too much in your headphones and you want to hear a little bit less of your voice, you just turn this little fader down here. You can also use the mixer, which I'll show you in a second. But essentially, to get started recording, that is it, guys. You're done. That is all you need. Okay, so that is all you need to know. Now, we want to get a track pulled into here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into a section where we've got some beats. We'll go into here and we'll get this track. Now, it's important to note two things. One, 122 beats per minute, and the key is in C minor. So what we want to do first is we want to go to 122. We want to change the tempo. You can type it in or you can just drag it up and down. And then we want to go to here and we want to change the key to C minor. The reason we want to change the key is because if we decide later on that we want to tune the vocals and make the vocals sound a bit better, then we're going to need that in key. Okay, so this is really simple stuff, guys. You can't really go too far wrong, but you do need to make sure it's in time, because if you want to add anything afterwards or you just want to help keep yourself in time to the beat, when you turn this on, which is the metronome, which you'll hear, then obviously you're going to have that clicking sound, and we want to make sure that we can be able to sort of hear that we are in time. So first things first is we get the track, 122 beats a minute, we drag it in below, we just simply drag it on, and then I like to put that at the top. So now we're in time. I'm going to turn the click off for a moment just because I don't want to irritate you with the click over the video. So anyway, we've got the track in time, we've got everything in the timeline that needs to be in the timeline. Now we want to record our vocals. Now this is dead easy. You want to turn this on so you can hear yourself, and then what we want to do is start recording our vocal. Now I've got nothing planned for this, so I'm just going to turn this down a little bit. I'm just going to do some la la la's over the top. La 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 la. And that's it. You've recorded some vocals. It's as simple as that. Now I've just dragged that there because we didn't need any of that section. And then when you press play, you'll be able to hear it back. La 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 la. That was out of tune. La 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 la. Now you've recorded some vocal for the very first time. Yay, we can sort of get playing. Now obviously you would have sung the song properly, or you'd have done it to a backing track to the song that you do, and you would have known some lyrics. That obviously is all, you know, without question. But now we want to just add a tiny little bit of effects. And then one of the reasons why I love GarageBand and Logic is because they have this feature here called Library. You click on Voice, and then you click on one of the presets, and all of a sudden you can notice a big difference in my voice. Let's have a listen to that. Makes a big difference. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this off for a second. makes a really big difference, and it's going to make your song sound just that little bit more professional. But basically what it's done, it's added some presets, it's done an EQ, what's called like a subtractive EQ, usually getting rid of sounds that you don't particularly want. You will have to tweak these guys because they won't be perfect for your voice or your microphone, so you will need to go into these and play around with them a little bit, and we'll do other videos on what each one of these individual things do. It's added a squasher, for example, like a guitar pedal to the vocal, which is pretty cool, and it's created some buses, which then goes to an effects chain. But we'll go into all that in another section. You don't really need to worry about it because at the moment you're just using presets, and that's fine. Okay, so if you want to change that preset and go for something different, like a tracking vocal, which just basically adds more reverb, let's listen to that. La 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 la. La 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 la. Okay, so that's again just a different preset. I prefer the compressed vocal one myself. It tends to work really well with pop and country and some rock stuff, but it tends to work quite well. And then obviously you would just tweak it to your desire and get it to sound how you want it to sound. The only other little bits you might want to do is if you say cough in the middle there, you might want to do things like click the cursor here, click on the scissors and cut, and then click back on here again, go back to the pointer, and then just drag and drag. And then that is pretty much the basics. Now you might just want to have some little fades at the beginning and end of each section as well, just so like if there is any sort of like little noises just before you start singing that you don't want, you can click there and you click fade tool, and then you just drag it, and then you've added a bit of a fade. You can do the same at the end and the beginning of the next one. And that is it, guys. You've recorded some vocals, and then you'd be ready to sort of mix it, and we'll talk about mixing in more detail later on. But in Logic, you get a mixer. In GarageBand you don't, so you would just simply in GarageBand you'd be using these sliding, that's all you get. In GarageBand you get these sliders at the side, but if you press X on your keyboard, you get a mixer which comes up at the bottom, so then you can see the volumes. La 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 la. Now, as we discussed, my vocal was a tiny bit out of tune, so we might want to go in there and add some tuning. Now, I'm not going to go into that in this video because it's a bit more complex, but I will do a video solely on tuning vocals very, very soon. But yeah, there's tons of little effects, things you can do within Logic straight out of the box. I'm not going to be using any of the fancier sort of plugins till a bit later on. So guys, hope that helped. Hope that gives you an idea now of how you can just jump straight onto your computer and start recording. And I'll see you again shortly for some more in-depth tutorials. Thank you very much.